situation of media?
Well, let's start with the positive side. Newspapers in all three countries, you can write whatever you want. The problem is that, for instance, in Georgia, just because I know the statistic from Georgia, 88% of the population gets most of its news from television, electronic media. You want me to rank the three countries? Well, in Azerbaijan, there is no free independent electronic media that I'm aware of, although there are websites and things like this. But again, this is a very small percentage of the population which is interested enough politically to go to these websites and read these things. The only good piece of news I can give you about the media environment in Azerbaijan was that the last time I was in Baku, I checked into my hotel, and the only thing available was satellite television. And there was actually not an Azeri television station at all. You had your choice of 100 channels, but there were 3 Armenian ones because it was
We're on satellite.
It was on satellite. So I was like, where's the Azeri news? But it was only all I could find were 3 Armenian channels. And then Armenian radio when you wanted to listen to radio.
Set your clocks, folks. 3 months, they'll be up.
In terms
They'll hear it from Lawrence, they'll go.
In terms of Armenia, I think we all, we're not disclosing any secrets here. I mean, there's a lack of independent electronic media outlets. RFERL, I believe, had problems where it was forced off of the selected frequency it wanted and onto a less favorable frequency, which has caused problems in its listenership. The one independent television station, A1 Plus, is that its name, is now on internet. The case has been in European courts for years and years, but they're basically off the air unless you want to go on the internet and find it. Georgia, mixed bag, really. Better, definitely, than the other 2 republics. There are, quote, opposition television stations or alternative outlets. Even on government television, you can often find very critical opinions, although not always. It's usually slanted in favor of the government. There's no question about it. But it's a very mixed bag. For instance, the second channel in Georgia has been completely handed over, and it's an all-political sort of C-SPAN type outlet where every single registered political party in Georgia gets X amount of time to go on the air with their statements. And recently, for instance, Channel 2, which broadcasts in all the major cities of Georgia, and it's government-owned, broadcasted the protest by former Parliament Speaker Nino Burjanadze in front of the television station before they went to the Parliament and blocked off the road. So there's a much bigger degree of electronic media freedom in Georgia, but it's uneven, and the government channels are still slanted, or some of the private channels are still slanted much toward the side of the government.
Anything to add?
Well, not specifically, but I will just add that before I started this job, I was working for Amnesty International as a researcher on Azerbaijan, and I do remember just the very, very distressing cases of human rights violations against journalists in Azerbaijan. And I think that situation continues. But having said that, I don't think that necessarily represses people's desire to find information, and they do then find that information in other ways. And my understanding is that there are a number of regional TV stations in Azerbaijan that are not perhaps the stereotype of a free TV station that we're looking for, but are reporting critically on local issues, social issues. So you do find some variation of opinion, and it's a starting point. So it's not a blank canvas.
And it can be said for like 1.5 places in Armenia as well, that the regional stations, Gala, for example, in Shirag, has that window of fresh air to the world. So on that more or less happy note, thank you for coming. My apologies to all those who didn't get to ask a question. Thank you to Lawrence, and Liz. This is the beginning of trying to look at our 20 years and where we go from here. I do believe the coffee's ready. Namaste.